Welcome to the Kai Greene Effect.
What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy K with the AKA Kai Greene. That's right, and welcome. I'd like to welcome you, and you to the Kai Greene Effect. Yes, welcome. Today I am joined by my lovely and wonderful hosts. We got Vlad Uden, Generation Iron, yes, certified and approved, and my boy, Eduardo Silva. We're here, and we're going to bring it to you today as only we can do it. What's good, guys?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. What's up, V?
How you doing, brother?
Generation Iron has the same color scheme as us. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Yeah, look at that.
Perfect marriage.
There you go. Who said anything about marriage?
Don't say marriage. Don't say marriage.
Don't say marriage.
No.
Don't say do it.
We Kai and I are victims of a lot of trauma, so don't say that word around us.
Oh, got it.
Hey, no, Vlad, you've not been married, right?
No.
Oh, lucky dude.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah.
You've been married, Kai? I didn't know that.
Who's that? Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was married. Married.
Wow, that's new. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, it's terrible. I got drunk. I got tricked.
You're hoodwinked.
Yeah, that's right.
Bamboozled.
That's right.
I got a tattoo that I'm removing to prove it.
God, wow. That's dedication right there, bro.
Wow.
You know, you dedicate yourself to a mistake, it's still dedication, right?
Uh-oh. He said, but you learn from it. You learn from it. You are right now.
I got two beautiful kids to show for it. So
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
See, I ain't come out with no souvenirs. Because I like to throw shit away, especially when the shit was bad. I don't want nothing to remember that marriage. Nothing but scars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an old shaker once you left it in the car for too long. Don't try to clean it. Throw it out.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's right. Yeah.
Well, that's a headline right there.
We are powered by Pro Am, as you see behind me here. Cheap plug. Cheap plug to the product.
Where's it at? In the back? Is that in the back? Oh yeah. I see it. I see it.
Get a little whey isolate.
Yes.
What flavor is that?
Chocolate.
Nice. All right, Kai. Should we start off with a lightning round of questions from your fans and supporters? Should we do that?
Let's do it. What's good, V? What's good?
All right. So we got some people that commented or sent us an email. So let's start from the first one. So Kai, obviously, let us know what you think about these and give them your best possible answer, okay?
Okay.
All right. King Rome says, Kai, what do you think about Power Slap contest? And who do you want to slap?
Oh,
do you watch that? Do you watch Power Slap, Kai? Are you a fan?
How long you got?
I saw that for the first time at I think it was Arnold. We saw that Arnold Classic. Was it
2020, I think.
2021.
I thought it was amazing.
Did you?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where we got a chance to see some females do this. There were some brutal combatants
out of each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a man, I'm a man, and I gotta say, what I saw, I do not think. First of all, I would never want to do that. I would never want to do it. I would just never want to do it, particularly with somebody that you probably would, underestimate. Because if you ain't in the regular practice of getting slapped, yeah, man, I would imagine it's very uncomfortable, and probably be in for a rude awakening. Embarrassment. Can you say embarrassment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you could slap one person, just without getting slapped back, just one person, anybody comes to mind?
Man, I wouldn't say it. I see it. I see the bait. It's
Phil,
there.
Phil,
I see it. I
Phil.
wouldn't say it
There's
though.
no bait,
Say
man.
Phil. Just say PHILLIP.
Come on.
Man, why you gotta say? I wouldn't say that. I mean, man.
Just one slap.
But
Just
you know
one.
what? Nah, I mean, honestly, I respect him tremendously. All jokes aside, I mean, at another time, though, at
Yeah.
another time, I can't. I just have to say we have to plead the fifth on that. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna
Uh,
answer for him. So Phil, back in the day, just what?
You were close. You were
what did the
close.
hand say with the five
What the
fingers?
five
Nah,
fingers say to the face?
to the
What?
face. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. So this one is kind of like a critic. It's not even a question. It's more like basically JP the Virgo is saying
He's a Virgo, so you're starting with that. Very difficult people.
So he's saying here, everyone says Kai on camera is totally different. He's saying that you on camera is different from real life. I don't know if he knows you in real life, but I wish we
doesn't.
actually got a chance to see that side of him. People are tired of politically correct Kai. So I don't know if this gentleman knows you, so he thinks you're different on camera, but he's saying you're being politically correct. Are you
Yeah.
being I don't think you.
Well, Kai is an elder statesman. That's part of
No, that probably sounds like a gentleman I've met in the bathroom. I think probably.
Oh no, that was Rico. That was
Well,
Rico. Relax.
Oh, hey, bum. Nah. Yeah, he said politically correct guy is. I mean, I think there's a certain amount of value with being able to respect your audience and to be able to understand that there is a responsibility that comes with the spotlight, and if you can speak to the interests of certainly more than just your own, you got to be responsible. So I think there's something to be said for that I think is a responsibility that I do have to carry. Um, but I don't think you have to be fake. You are just, your personality is going to be what you choose it to be.
There's a certain amount of decorum that comes with being somebody that's highly regarded in an industry, right? Like imagine if every actor that's held in, if Leonardo DiCaprio just came out and just started talking shit about everybody he doesn't like, there's a certain amount of decorum that comes with, being the elder statesman and
Of course.
being an influencer. That's it. That's the thing now in the days of influencers is you have influence. So you don't want to be, you don't want to just be a total prick and be like, well, that guy, I don't like that guy just because you don't like him.
Yeah, one thing about Kai, like even at the most, I guess, difficult times, he never said anything disrespectful about organizations or contests. He was super, like even at the moments where there was like a lot of controversy happening, he was super professional. So I feel like people in those organizations and contests, they should definitely have respect for Kai when it comes to
Well, thank you, Vlad. I appreciate you saying that. I ain't know anybody was paying attention.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Yes.
Next one.
This is the question from Varying Lens. I'm a big fan of Kai and Victor Martinez. Please ask Kai if Victor Martinez really won Mr. Olympia 2007. Kai's personal opinion matters. I guess
the judge.
Don't be politically correct on that one, Kai. Just your opinion. Do you think he won 2007 Mr. Olympia?
Whoa, man. So here's the thing. I saw it. I was there. I definitely felt that Victor Martinez
Throw it under the stick.
He it was a really difficult pill to swallow, because if you stand there on the stage and for what the things are that the people see, at least in the spotlight on stage, without understanding any of the things that can go on behind the scenes and any of the other work that needs to be done in order to develop and solidify your position, it can really feel like like something happened and we just ain't understand,
I'll tell you from my side, you'll find no bigger Jay Cutler fan than your boy right here. And I was like, a little dicey on that one. Because Victor's muscle bellies are crazy. his back, the conditioning, everything was like that was like Victor at that year was like '09 Jay Cutler. Just came in and everything was just popping, dialed in, you know. And
Here's the thing: Victor
yeah,
never looked like it was hard. He never looked like
no,
it was.
no,
It was
Victor looked like he wasn't trying. Like he
yeah.
was,
I mean, like this guy at like his 60% or his 65% was like,
yeah,
just really. He was genuinely an elite level athlete at this craft of competitive professional bodybuilding, particularly at that time. It was like, you know,
you and I have had conversations about this. Remember, you and I were talking on the plane. Oh, we were on a ride about Paul Dillette. We're like Paul Dillette.
shout out to
Paul
Paul
Dillette.
Dillette.
Shout out to Paul Dillette, but
Yeah.
Paul Dillette like didn't look like he even had to try, right? Like, and he was just there, and you're just like, what the fuck is that thing, right? And you'd see him, and the posing wasn't great, which it is what it is. But it was one of those people like made it look so effortless to be that huge and that round and
And
that
that
condition, but
developed without
and that
without
developed with
without some of the basic prerequisite skills that you would imagine you'd have to
right,
have as a fundamental,
right,
like hey, being able to flex your glutes without needing to look and think about it.
yeah,
You would
doing
think
your
that
compulsories, right,
with
your
all
quarter
the development he
turns,
had and all the detail that he had at that stage in the game, you would have thought that, yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
standing there practicing flexing your glute and hamstring, without because the dude, yeah, the development was crazy.
yeah.
And how do you develop all of that without having to like master the basic fundamentals with your posing? I mean, you don't have to necessarily be a great poser a lot of times. A lot of times people think what being a great poser is these like pretty transitions and flashy movements in between. The static poses, both traditional and non-traditional. But what's interesting is you can be a great poser. Um, by just being able to demonstrate the basic fundamentals and do it in a masterful way. There was a time when I remember there was just like this conscious knock on my physique. And I remember, one of the things that we talk about is like, hey man, you need to, oh, you got a bubble gut. And I was like, what the is a bubble gut? But I'll never forget George Farrah was like, yeah, man, well, you gotta control that. And I remember being like, well, I don't know if you can control that. It doesn't make sense to me. And he was like, yeah, well, Jay does. And he was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, well, you look at any video footage or any photo of Jay from any angle, and he was like, he has his waist under control. And I remember thinking like, wow, well, I want to find one. I'll
Yeah.
show you.
Hmm.
And it was like, wow, we looked, it was like, okay, you know what? Okay, so obviously there are challenges that everyone has to experience in the process of developing what it is to become your best package in presenting it at the Super Bowl of our experience. Waste management,
Waste
midsection
management.
control. I learned that year, with working with George Farrah, one of those, hey, you do need to pay attention to that. And it's not a question of just genetics. There are things you need to do to get that under control. And at the end of the day, you can do it if you want it, you know.
So '07 Victor.
'07 Victor,
All right.
the dude was next level, man. He was
All right.
next level. And
One more
certainly
question,
something
Kyle. Last question, guys. Last question. We got to move on. I think you answered that pretty well, Kai. That was good. All right. Last question comes from Big Tony P. Kai, what is your favorite thing to Big Tony?
Shout out to Big Tony P. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Kai, what is your favorite thing to do when you're not working out, making art, or working in general?
We need a late night podcast for that. I don't know if you can
Oh
answer that.
man.
Yeah, it's a family show, Kai.
Man, you know what? I'm trying to work it out. I'm trying to get to the Diddy party a little earlier
Kai Greene
so I
After
can say
Dark.
what's up.
Tune
What's
into
going
Kai Greene.
on?
Tune into Kai Greene After Dark.
Yes, there we
Sundays
go.
at 1 a.m.
That sounds good. Kai Greene After Dark. I like the sound of that. All right, that was the end of the lightning round, guys.
All right, here's the first topic, Kai. This is a good one. Throwing up during hard training at the gym, is it a requirement for real gains? You ever thrown up or working out?
That's a good question. Did you?
So, have I ever thrown up working out? First, I will say no, right?
Really?
No, you've never
Um,
thrown up, or no, it's not a requirement.
so I'm gonna say no, I've never thrown up in the gym,
Man's man,
when
right there,
training.
boy.
But I also want to say this though. I do believe that, yeah, man, it actually would be a benefit to you if you did make it a requirement, you
Really?
know.
Interesting.
So here's the thing: a lot of people will talk about overtraining, working too hard.
Hmm.
They'll talk about, the possibility of like, well, you don't want to live an unbalanced life. You want to keep things in its appropriate place. So there's a time to work and there's a time to rest and there's a time to relax. But I've learned that, when you're aspiring for a certain level of success, there's a part of that can't be attained without at least doing enough work to establish the threshold. You know what I mean? To at least know where the where the line is. What is your best? And how will you know what your best is if you don't ever push yourself so much that you can identify through the pushing that, okay, maybe this is a little too much. I think a lot of times, a lot of, you know, the younger athletes, and I remember myself being one of them, um, can actually end up working less under what we may need to be in order to identify where the best results lie for being the success that we really aspire to be.
Well,
Everybody will talk about,
if you think about it, look at the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, Arnold. Talk about overtraining. Those workouts are marathons,
yeah,
sets on sets on
yep,
sets, and somehow those guys made it to have amazing physiques with less technology than what we have now.
right, right.
So that theory of, oh, you did one dumbbell curl too many, you're gonna go catabolic, dude. Look at Franco, look at Arnold, look at Frank Zane, look at all these guys. They were all training the same way, and they didn't have coaches sitting there and telling them, hey man, you gotta weigh your rice out 100 grams, or else you're gonna fuck up the whole diet. And they were making it work. So obviously there's something to be said for that level of work to build that development with much less technology and knowledge.
You know what? I'm gonna challenge that. I don't think you would say that they didn't have coaches, because the truth is, you know, there is a person that is responsible for every choice that you make. You know, the most influential person that a person is ever going to know in their lifetime is not the person that they look to, like a parent, a mother or a father, or the the idea of an external coach. But the man or woman that you see in the mirror is the most influential person in your life. And the only way I've learned that I would ever get anywhere with accomplishing any of the things that are important to me would be when I'm able to hold that man in the mirror accountable for everything that I'm doing in an effort to become the success that I say that I'm aspiring to reach. So, and if my success or my failure belongs to me, and it's certainly, done through the eyes of that man looking back at me, in the mirror. So your coach, they had to have a coach, because they were people that were aspiring to become, you know, better than where they were. They would need it if you're holding yourself accountable and you're looking to progressively realize, you know, steps forward in your development. You're gonna have to, you know, you're gonna have to be able to assess. You're gonna have to be able to look and look again and keep looking, and then, gauge and manage. These things aren't happening by accident. This is bodybuilding. So whether or not, you call it a coach or recognize that there's a coaching influence inside of you, you know, um, the truth is that is the master of this program. You're talking to yourself all the time. You're getting under the
Well,
weight, whether even
when I say coach, I mean third party, like somebody like out there going, "Hey, you got to do this," right? So like if you look at I was watching the Color Cast the other day, and it was Milos
Mhm,
on there, and Milos is like, "Oh, he had his diary. He was his own
mhm.
coach, right?"
That's right.
Which most of those guys back then were their
But
own coach. So
everybody
yeah,
is their own coach. Here's the
yeah,
thing: the only because I think a coach like me, when we say a coach like Milos, or a coach like George Farrah, a coach like Henny Rombard, or a coach like you fill in the blank. What the name is? The truth is they're a very sophisticated tool, very sophisticated. It's
hmm
not but if you aren't developed enough in your ability to use this tool, in other words, if you haven't been able to track your calories enough, if you don't know how to, follow through with what you say you're going to do and pay attention to details that you can now either write down, make note of, and then bring it up as a question to your counsel or your coaching effort in front of you. The
right,
truth is you won't be able to make as good a use of that very valuable tool if you aren't in command of your own instrument. Like you,
Right.
so that coaching ability, starts with you, and technically you become a team player with your coach. Now they're there with like George was there with answers to questions that I would have probably taken me another 10 years of my own experience of trial and error to figure out. But with saying that, the master coach or the person that's going to be able to put into practice, you know, hey, he sends you a protocol, and it's like, hey, do this, eat this, move there, do that, and it's like, okay, it's a great piece of paper, or it's a great, thing in my data file, but my ability to execute,
Right.
you
That's a whole
know,
different story.
um, is everything, you know.
Right, right. Speaking of sophisticated tools, what do you guys think of Gentle Lifts, this new 18-year-old influencer that's becoming a sensation?
I just saw
in
that
the,
video with this guy just throwing around dumbbells.
Did some dumbbell press. I made my way to Iraq, straight to the 110s. I was starving. They flew like a fucking airplane. 130s were being a good boy, so I took them for a walk in the park.
yeah, he's 18 years old. He claims to be fully natural, and he's gigantic. I don't know how he looks.
I wonder if he's sponsored by orthopedic surgeons. If they get, enough people tear shoulders and pecs, then he gets a cut of each surgery.
Mm.
He's definitely in the, it's crazy how when social media basically kind of exploded, right? Like Instagram, 2013, right? How many different levels of influencers in the fitness industry we've been through, basically, right? Starting with Rich Piana, and now somebody like Gentle Lifts, who's becoming a sensation. Of course, we have Sam Sulix and everybody else, right? Like, what do you guys think of this whole thing? Like, you got to be kind of like taking it over the top these days to really become social media famous, right? What do you think?
Yeah, shout out to him. And I saw some of these videos. I thought, wow, very, very. I saw him as a refreshing idea of entertainment. But with saying that, you know, I think if you got a chance to see, so like they say like a successful champion, the guy that is you know able to be in the spotlight today as the top dog, chances are he at another time was just a contender, that was willing to put their hat in the mix, and willing to do the work behind the scenes, to try to make those moments in the spotlight count. um so yeah, I see this young guy. I see him comically doing some of the things that he's doing. Obviously, he's a very
Yeah,
strong young
very strong.
man. And the entertainment quality that he offers with being able to, one, he knows he's strong enough, and has a command enough of some of the fundamental skills for himself to do what he's doing, without the fear of hurting himself. You know,
Death.
I think he's brilliant in the sense of, it's one thing when we're comically doing things in front of the camera, but he's a showman, and he's a developing showman. And I think that what we see on the surface today is not necessarily everything that's actually working beneath that young man's
Right.
surface. So I
Right.
believe that this dude is obviously he has a performance, uh, a set of he's like, what do you call it when someone is a developing showman
Right.
that is trying his hand at this. He's already put some skills together, highlighting some of the strengths that he has to his credit. There's a huge opportunity there when you think about like just performing arts, wrestling, acting.
If he's smart, he's gathering a team of people to guide him in the right direction, like now.
All
Because
right.
if it's just kicking on, now is the time to be like, all right, let me hire a manager, people that can like help, not like a manager, like a agency manager, but like social media person, people to mediate those comments,
Mhm.
and people to start getting you booked places, like start getting money, start monetizing your notoriety because you could be either become a rich piano or you could be a flash in the pan where like,
Right.
oh yeah, he made one viral video, haha. But look, Blessing Abudibu, who we sponsored for a while at Redcon in the previous life, he was the funny
Shout
guy.
out to Blessing. Nah.
He was the funny guy. He just made funny videos online, right? And then all of a sudden, here he is on the stage. He was on the doing the New York Pro and stuff. And that's your
Right.
catapult, right? You just got to make sure you walk through the right door and don't be foolish. Like Blessing did it right. Blessing ended up, coming with us back then, and then
He's great.
he did the New York Pro, started training, started talking shit with Nick Walker, and they made it very interesting. And then
He
he
did.
became the king of New York, right? And then but he made something of himself, and now he's with Muscle Tech, and he has
Do,
his,
do you guys think these
so
days you can be a bodybuilder or any type of athlete in the fitness industry, right,
Mhm.
and become popular without that type of activity on social media where you come up with something, or you think it's possible just to be a competitor these days?
you gotta have something. I don't think you can just like the days of Dorian Yates where you're just a shadow, you disappear, and you show up on stage and you're huge and you win, and you disappear. I think nowadays it's you have to have a shtick, right? Or like some kind of personality, right? Like wow, Sam Sulek is taking over all these young
Right.
people, which Chris Bumstead was doing beforehand, right? He got the mustache, he leaned into his lisp, right? So all his products have Savage and iFlit, like he has a shtick,
Right.
right? Whereas like, back in the day, you just watched the Road to the Olympia DVDs, which I am a proud owner of a few, right? You watched Melvin
Throwback.
Anthony, Gustavo, Jay, all of them train. You didn't really care much about like what they had to say, the personality. You were just watching because you're like, oh my God, this is how you get huge, right?
Right. Actually, a question to both of you guys as
Mhm.
pro-am co-owners, right? You
Yeah.
guys running a supplement company, right? You're looking for athletes to sponsor.
Mhm.
Would you sponsor somebody without a social media presence who's just competing and let's say doing well in a competition circuit, but who person that doesn't have any social media? Would that even be a consideration?
I but I
Kai,
would tell
Kai
you,
shaking.
Kyle will tell you no. And he's hiding under the hood.
I was being honest, at
but
least.
but there is something to be said about being able to mold someone. If someone is coachable, like if I meet them and they don't have a huge presence, but they're coachable to the point where maybe you could build something around them, that's something to consider. But if somebody's like, "Hey, man, I'm just a bodybuilder and I just eat
Right.
my 8 meals a day and I just work out," there's not, there's no qualities to it. There's nothing you can build off that. I don't know, Kai. What do you think?
I think the answer is obvious. We live in a day and age where, Sylvester Stallone, if you asked him, hey man, if you were going to try to remake the magic that you were able to capture with the first installment of Rocky, if you were going to write, produce, and just, from the grassroots effort that you did, if you were going to redo Rocky today, if you were going to just start from scratch and just do Rocky, um, would you be able to do it the same way that you did it, 30 plus years ago? Damn, that's probably 40 plus years ago now. Jesus, what
Yeah,
year did Rocky come out?
70s, I
48.
think.
Yeah.
70s, right?
I'll tell you right now.
What year was that?
70, early 70s or
Oh God.
76, 76.
1976, bro.
76.
Yeah. So
I was born in 1987.
yeah, we just gonna stop counting after 30, for me. But anyway, so that said, if you were going to, with the technologies and the platforms that existed for marketing and promotion, if you were going to, release a film, shoot a film, do a film that the way you did it then, to try to do that today and think you would be as successful,
Right.
it would be wrong. So he'd have to do it a different way today, if he were going to, aim to capture any of the success that we now take for granted. We discovered is possible. All right, well, you know what, everybody, at the sound of my voice, I hope you have enjoyed what we brought to you today. That's right, me, your boy, yours truly, K with the AKA, Mr. Getting It Done, my man, Mr. Eduardo Silva, and last but not least, Vlad Uden. We just had a great conversation. Hopefully, you've been tuning in and like some of the things that we've had to say. If not, we would like to welcome you to fold it up, write it on a piece of paper, send it to your congressman. No, I'm just kidding. But I would like to thank you for tuning in to us today and hanging out with us on the Kai Greene Effect. Till next time, let's keep it positive and let's keep encouraging each other. Peace.